Hi. Hello, good morning, good evening, good day. Welcome back to Even More News, the first and only news podcast on a Monday or Tuesday. My name is Katy Stoll.
But not Wednesday. Hi, Katy Stoll. Good morrow to all. How are we shining today? Or good evening, sure.
Jonathan is also here.
Hi. It's definitely one of the 2 days.
Jonathan, I know that nothing happened over the weekend, but if something did happen over the weekend, or even, God forbid, first thing this morning, what would that have been?
Yeah, first thing, bright and early. President Trump, you guys know him, announced that he is placing the Washington, D.C. Police Department under direct federal control and deploying the National Guard in D.C. Because of all the crime, which is down.
I'm announcing a historic action to rescue our nation's capital from crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor, and worse. This is Liberation Day in D.C., and we're going to take our capital back. We're taking it back.
Is this because of big balls?
I mean, that's the thing they're using. Also, I guess he mentioned like people spit on cops in D.C., which is not allowed. You can beat them if you're trying to break into the Capitol, but you can't like spit on them going by. Okay. That requires a federal takeover.
I just cannot believe everything that's happening all the time, every day, all at once. But one of the things that I can't believe, or I have to believe, reading these very serious news reports about what happened to Big Balls in this alleged carjacking, the fact that a serious news article is referring to someone as Big Balls.
Yeah.
Well, it's a well-known nickname.
It's a well-known nickname, but this is the guy. This is their guy.
He's their guy.
They hired him. They were proud of fucking Big Balls. Our teenage big bald boy got it bonked on his face.
If they just said 19-year-old Edward Korestein, who used to work for Doge, that doesn't necessarily... People would need to know, is this the guy who temporarily got fired for the racist stuff, or is this Big Balls?
The other
There's
one,
two
No. Oh, to be
options.
clear, I'm not... There's plenty of things I can critique the media on, for sure. But it's not... I'm not critiquing the media. They have to report that. It's that this was the person... This terrible young man was given a position of power and launched to fame by this administration... is madness. Please continue with the actual story. This is beside the point.
He seems all right. He helped the woman he was with.
Yeah. So
Our hero.
Trump is doing this under Section 740 of the D.C. Home Rule Act. Since D.C.'s a little bit different, it's not a state, the president does have the legal authority to take over the Metropolitan Police Department.
Well, I was going to say, could we really quick, I guess we should call in our 740 expert for this to talk about this.
Should I put on my Section 740 expert hat?
I'd prefer to talk to the expert about this.
All right, hang on.
What's up?
What's up?
Jesus Christ.
So
what's going on in the news, dog?
So Section 740 is like you can take over the police department, but it's supposed to be like an emergency when you do that. But like, guess who decides if it's an emergency? The president. Oh. So like, that's where that legal authority comes from. It's also only supposed to be for 48 hours, which is like, he's deploying the National Guard for 30 days. So like, that's incongruous,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Can we talk to Jonathan again?
That's all I got to say about that.
Jonathan, did you hear?
Fucking guy. I leave for like 1 second. Then Brotown has to come in and explain how the president's turned us into a fascist authoritarian dictatorship.
Jonathan, you could have been the one to become an expert.
Listen, I didn't have time. We are so rush prepping for this show on Monday morning that I had to bring Brody in.
Yeah. Brody.
I mean, he seemed knowledgeable.
Brody cloned me.
I don't know what he's doing at your place, if he's like causing problems, but he's
wearing my hats the wrong way, I guess. So look, this is stupid. Like, one, it's kind of all. I mean, I don't want to say it's all for show because it's very serious. He's saying all the homeless people have to leave. We're going to round up the 800 unhoused people.
They'll
in
have
DC.
places to go, though.
We're going to
right?
put them in great
They're gonna
places.
Not here.
We're
Far
gonna
from here.
intern
Far
them
from
From,
here.
like,
concentratedly.
are they building them affordable housing?
They're building them something. They're going to build them something.
The ultimate point is that largely with the National Guard and stuff, this is going to be like what we saw in LA, where people in DC are going to see a bunch of National Guards people standing around, twiddling their thumbs, while he gets to act like a big boy.
He brought crime down.
He mentioned that crime was up in 2023, which it briefly was before going down again. Of course, it's currently at a 30-year low in DC and across the country. It's madness. Also, Washington, D.C. already has the most cops per capita of any city in the country.
Is that why
More
they were
cops in
able
DC
to
wandering.
be patrolling during the Big Balls incident and
Yes,
stop it?
that's how they came upon the Big Balls incident so readily. And the House GOP failed to restore $1 billion in funding to the DC budget. They were doing this little trickery because the DC was considered a federal agency, so they were supposed to make cuts, and then they had to do this workaround. But at any rate, the House effectively cut $1 billion from the DC budget. So if they wanted more cops, they couldn't get them because of those.
But they don't want more cops. They want more Trump police. They want the Trump troops out there in the streets for his little test pilot program for the fascist city that he wants to live in and control.
This isn't about crime. This isn't about crime at all, in my opinion. There's that's the Big Balls is our way in, your justification. Obviously, crime is down. I don't have it in front of me, but there was already more troops and federal agents on the streets over the weekend, and there was not a spike in arrests. There's not apprehending crime. This is about the unhoused. This is about our homeless population and criminalizing homelessness. It is about putting them someplace out of sight, out of mind, probably at a for-profit prison that gets built under, with a contract given out by this administration. And it's about money and it's about appearances. And yes, repeating myself, criminalizing homelessness. It's not a crime to be homeless yet.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, it's exactly. I agree with you completely. Because
Finally!
also I've been agreeing with you completely.
I'm just kidding.
There's an element of this where, and we've, there's so many distractions all the time that he tries to do, but also the distractions are bad too. And they've got these quotas for ICE, and they seem to at least be slightly aware that maybe it's not a popular thing they're doing, rounding up people at Home Depots, even though, and they try to do it anyway. And they even have Joe Rogan out there being like, I don't know about this, folks. But who they're banking on people caring even less about than immigrants is homeless people. It's a new target that is easy to have people round up. They just love rounding people up is the problem. So if they can't do it as much as they want to with Dean Kane's help, then they're going to have a new target and have it be more of a violent reaction. They've been building it up for a long time. Obviously, the rhetoric over decades, but also under Trump has been just these, filthy homeless and so on. Get them out of whatever, get them out of there. And so now they're the new target that they can freely harass and round up without, we'll see, as much pushback.
It is such
publicly.
an easy scapegoat for people to point to in their own problems, but it's all deeply heartbreaking.
They could also just pick them up and instead of giving them a great place to live or whatever Trump said, just dump them in Baltimore, which is, not that far. And that's the next city.
They will drop them off. And then exactly, I was going to say,
you
that's
need a
the
different
next city.
legal justification for that one. I'm sure they're working on it.
They talk about this all the time, even that one time when Gavin cleaned up San Francisco. And it's like, oh, you can just do this anytime. They just want they want this to happen to every American city that they have been painting as these dens of just like depravity and everyone's living in shit and the homeless, all this stuff. They've created that image in all blue cities, I guess, but none of the red ones. And they just want to do this for all of them.
People living in Walnut Creek in Arkansas they know more about what it's like to live in a big city than the people who live there. I mean, they truly believe that these cities are cesspools, that you can't walk down the street. They think it's a false flag when they see videos of people dining outside and enjoying neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They walk down like, oh my God, look at all these people. It's like, well, many of them are trying to sell you fruit. Go buy a fruit. What are you scared of?
Yeah, we're making America healthy again.
Exactly.
But no more fruit vendors.
They're just gonna ship them places or do the camps or both. Some combination of that, probably.
It's just terrifying. It's already terrifying. How do we make ends meet? So many people are one crisis away from not being able to pay rent, not being able to pay mortgage, getting evicted. It is not going away. It's getting worse. And instead of ever trying to deal with the root of these issues, with policies, with real honest conversations about what Americans need, we just penalize, criminalize. And it is a very scary reality for us to be staring down the barrel of.
I mean, amidst all of this, it's really disgusting. Juxtapose these, but amidst all of this and this crackdown, the homeless thing, he's just goldifying the White House and building this ballroom.
Right?
Like he wants his little palace. He wants his golden palace in his little fascist state with his little Trump troops walking around.
It could not be more let them eat cake-ish.
I do think, though, I mean, I don't know if protests are going to grow out of this in D.C. I do think he has a harder time selling this one. The L.A. one was already deeply unpopular, but at least there were protests going on and people set cars on fire before he did it. So he's like, oh, look at the car on fire. I can do this. This one, like, the Big Balls story is kind of vague. He's talking about spitting on cops. It's all very vague stuff in there. And it's very hard to sell an emergency to Americans when they can't see it at all. So he might have a harder time. Maybe he doesn't care, right? He's just slowly building. And this is the next step.
Yeah,
exactly. He knows exactly. Yeah.
Before we move on, I would love to quickly play this Janine Piro clip because it's very quick. It's just her talking about how we need to get tougher laws to detain more people.
She is a character.
Know that we can't touch them. Why? Because the laws are weak. I can't touch you if you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old.
What?
That's it. It's just her
Janine,
saying she can't touch you if you're 14 years old.
You can't be talking like that,
touch
Janine.
this.
That's a bad,
No,
that's
you
a weak
can't.
law. That
And
makes
it's also
her not.
a weak law.
Pretty terrible out of context clip. You know, what
Can't be
with
saying that.
the pedophilia of it all.
Can't be saying that.
No,
Janine.
we're taking her out of context, admittedly.
Sure.
But also, say
You
arrest.
can't be saying that.
Say arrest.
Say arrest.
Say
instead
arrest.
Of touch.
But also, I don't support that either. I just don't. I don't support.
Yeah.
The real thing is bad.
I don't support trying a 14-year-old like an adult, and I certainly don't support treating them like an adult in any other capacity.
It's the first time I've seen Janine Piro in a while where she's not just complaining about the office she's in and how they don't deliver the sparklets on time or whatever.
What about 13 or 12? Does she want to prosecute them too? Like, is there a floor for her? We gotta get the kids.
I imagine it's similar to Trump's floor of, what did he say, 12?
I believe 12 was his
12's the
floor.
floor.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, certainly not 12. Yeah.
Confirmed.
Maybe 13's cool. Okay, Jonathan, what else did or did not happen over the past few days?
Yeah, on Friday afternoon, a man shot towards multiple CDC buildings in Atlanta. The shooter killed one police officer and died at the scene. I believe we still don't know if he was killed by police or if he killed himself. According to multiple reports, he was sick or believed that he had been made sick because of the COVID vaccine, which is almost certainly not a thing that could happen, depending on the illness.
Myocarditis.
Yeah,
from
unless
COVID.
he had a right. So RFK Jr.'s statement about how he's deeply saddened by the tragic shooting and how no public health official should have to face threats while they're just working to protect the health of others, it rings quite hollow since he is the one who called COVID-19 the deadliest vaccine ever, and has spread nonstop misinformation about it for years and is now restricting who can get that vaccine.
What did we expect would happen after years of this rhetoric and this tension ramping up and just the entire anti-science sentiment that has been pushed and is being pushed aggressively right now by RFK Jr.? This is a natural conclusion or development in this story, especially with America being as violent as it is. It is super depressing. So he thought he was ill from the vaccine. Is it specifically he thought it made him depressed and suicidal? That is the illness that he feels his...
His father told police that the shooter believed that the COVID vaccine made him suicidal.
Before we started recording, I was talking about how I've had not so many, but a lot of conversations with people that, I'll talk about long COVID. And it's not that they deny it, but they'll be like, and of course, vaccine injury. A lot of the long COVID thing could be vaccine injury. And I'm like struggling. And look, I'm not going to just say vaccine injury isn't is completely made up. That is a known thing. There are side effects for some small amount of people for all vaccines, and that's something that we know. But the payoff is good for us as society as we, become inoculated against deadly diseases. So I don't mean to just outright discredit it, but this whole muddy, murky anti-science environment makes it almost impossible for people to have any sort of clarity, and then stuff like this happens.
And especially with like medical stuff where like there are always going to be like sort of trade-offs and things you need to understand, like, well, this in this case, every person is different. And so, but they hear like, no, vaccines are bad, and that's all they're going to hear. I would posit that maybe if you're a person who's sort of like drowning in all this sludge of misinformation and this like information ecosystem that makes you believe these things about the vaccine, maybe that information ecosystem is what's making you depressed. Maybe the isolation that comes from being in these communities and being online all the time and being stuck in that world, maybe that is contributing to the depression instead of the actual vaccine.
And it's the fact that it's really hard right now. Things are depressing. It's hard financially,
exactly.
Your future, your opportunities. I'm agreeing with you completely.
Yeah.
Yep, here we go. But there's a lot of things to be depressed about, and there's a lot of people struggling with mental health, and that has nothing to do with being vaccinated.
There's this argument from some of RFK's allies, the Children's Defense Fund, some other right-wing anti-vaxxers, that since he got the COVID shots, he's not an anti-vaxxer. This is not an anti-vaxxer who went and tried to kill health officials at the CDC. This is, I mean, she's begging the question because she assumes her conclusion that the COVID shots do this to people is true. That's just not how this works. People don't sign up and say, I'm anti-vax, and most of them started with like, well, I think vaccines are fine, but maybe there's these other things, and then it grows to this point. I mean, the fact of the matter is that there's a direct line from anti-vax rhetoric and specifically RFK Jr. to this. The top health official in the country is saying this kind of thing over and over again.
Yeah, he's encouraging it. Also, depression can lead to more susceptibility to medical misinformation. A few studies on that. Harvard, I think Massachusetts General Hospital also. So like there's all these sort of this big soup of these problems. And then, yes, you have RFK up there being like, you should read more about all the problems that we're causing you. It's bad. He's bad.
He might. I've been thinking about this. And it's like a hopeful thing that could happen is people are upset at Trump because he keeps saying Operation Warp Speed was like one of the greatest achievements. No one ever thought we could do it. It's like one of the greatest achievements in the history of this country. And I do think it's like genuinely the best thing to come out of any Trump administration. Like great. You were like, I don't want people being sick. Let's create a vaccine that does, Trump doesn't care. Trump's not anti-vax. He's used conspiracy stuff for years to win people over. I do feel at a certain point that he might get tired of RFK's nonsense. If there are measles outbreaks all over the country, if he keeps shitting on his genuinely only achievement in office, he might be like, enough of this. I'm sick of this vaccine stuff. Get out of here. The same as just like, oh, Epstein, cut it out. That's not part of this anymore.
Right.
And that worked, basically.
It has
an interesting dance
worked,
of being one of his better accomplishments and also something that most of his base would want him to distance himself from. It's a weird...
Right. But I think he could literally tell them, knock it off, it's good thing. And they'll be like, great.
What else do we have that's uplifting and good?
After those two uplifting and good stories, what's the third uplifting and good story we can talk about?
Surely there's something uplifting and good.
There's this guy, Doug Wilson, who runs a church called Christ Church. Great. That's not very creative, but okay. And it's like a Christian nationalist organization, basically.
It's like one?
It is like definitely a Christian nationalist organization. CNN did this 7-minute profile of Doug Wilson and interviewed some of his deputy pastors. I don't know what they're called, deputy sheriffs in charge of this church. And they say things like they'd be fine with the 19th Amendment that allowed women the right to vote to go away. Women should submit to their husbands and to make all family decisions, that kind of thing. And then Pete Hegseth retweeted the CNN segment because he's got an affiliation with Doug Wilson, and he tweeted all of Christ for all of life. What could Barack Obama have just retweeted from a pastor or reverend or someone that would have been equivalent to this?
I would say, literally, it would just be this, but if the pastor was a little darker, right?
Yes.
Because then they'd be like, oh, you don't respect women or whatever. We do. It's like, no, you don't. It's just white this time. I think it could be anything.
Or a pastor saying we don't believe that it's Christian to own guns, and my vision of the future is that this is a gun-free society, or something like that. They lose their mind. I don't know.
Any progressive idea or any of their ideas.
Or literally just this. I have seen this guy described in people online. It's like this fringe ideas, fringe Christian nationalists. This isn't fringe anymore, folks. It just isn't. This is amplified by Pete Hegseth. This is the goal. And it is, I honestly have spent so much time in a state of shock being like, how the fuck in the course of my adult life, not even since I was a child, have things like this that used to be like a joke, I think, to most people. Not a joke, aware of it, but so many things that used to just be a joke. Donald Trump himself, a fucking joke, have become so normalized and accepted that I feel like I'm losing my mind. This is not fringe anymore, is my point, though.
Oh, yeah. This is his church. These are his beliefs. This is what he believes.
And Pete Hegseth is a member of the DC.
Yes, this is his church.
Of this church. Some other things they say. They want to criminalize homosexuality again. Obviously. This guy says women are the kind of people that people come out of, and suggests like, well, it doesn't take any real talent.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies. That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically.
And thus, men are better, and men should be leading society. Like he thinks this is like his great, like, buttoned up argument for a patriarchal society, and it makes him sound like a monster.
This is very
he is a monster.
Monstrous, disgusting thing. This is something that you see so much of and no disrespect to the religious folks out there, any religion. This is very prevalent in I've been watching that Mormon Housewives show. It's something you kind of see once you see it everywhere, that so much of religion, specifically these religions, is based off of this envy of women because they can have children and they have this connection to life and the creation of life, and well, they're supposed to take care of the child. They do all these sort of things, and so many like rituals in these religions is now the man takes the child and blesses the child and is in charge. Like, it's this sort of like forcing yourself into the nurturing and control of the baby because of this natural sort of connection that women have. And you see it kind of everywhere. This is a great example. This quote is like, oh, so you actually like, you resent that women have children, so you're trying to like blanket it over as this like, oh, it's not even anything. Like it there's so many, I'm not articulating it very well, but there are so many examples of this in specifically these sort of extremist religions that really do stem from like, oh, well, we want to be in charge. Actually, you have this life-giving power and we want it. We need to be in charge of all the rituals. We need to have control over the community and the family because we don't.
Yeah, it's like she gave birth to it, but it's our baby.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just comes out in so many ways. And this is almost the reverse, where it's like, it's nothing. We don't care about it.
They in this segment interview a married couple that's part of this.
Oh, I hate this.
church. And they discuss like, well, yes, I submit to him, but and the husband goes, but within the home, we discuss, things or who we're going to vote for and all these things. The interviewer says, well, what if you disagree about something? And then the man says, well, that'll be an opportunity for a good discussion. That guy and the main senior pastor, Doug Wilson, there's a smugness to them where they know they're saying something outrageous. And they're like, what? Yeah, sure. Like, women shouldn't be able to vote. What's the big deal? It's almost like they're podcasters. Like there's a Matt Walshness to these guys.
Yeah.
That I find very odd. I mean, it just suggests that they listen to Matt Walsh and watch his terrible show, but it's also kind of chilling the abrasiveness of it.
Just how far gone it is, how far gone that people think this and believe, like, actually, yeah, women shouldn't vote. Or as they suggest in this, it's a household vote. You mean he's voting. You mean that person's voting. This woman just says, oh, yes, he is the head of our household.
The interesting thing is they would have to make that move for everybody, because if they just do it for them, well, like, we'll just have one household vote. All you're doing is eliminating Republican votes. So obviously we have to restrict everybody's votes, so you guys only get a household vote as well.
And it's not that I think this is going to necessarily happen. It's that I don't think I can just dismiss things the way I used to, of being like, oh, again, as being fringe, because this is clearly a movement. This is clearly a portion of people that believe this. And even this pastor is like, oh, I'm not. Over the next 200 years, yes, America will be a Christian nation. Like, I'm not saying that we're doing it overnight, but I'm sure he would love to. Anyway, it's chilling. You were right. You landed on the right word, Jonathan.
He's the Secretary of Defense. He wants to do all this stuff. He's in charge of the world's largest military force. I'm not saying he's like, well, if I wanted to, I could just make everybody Christian. You could just
you could say it.
You could just do it. It is chilling that. Obviously he's not fringe, but it's so not fringe. He is the Secretary of Defense, and
yes,
to whatever degree people in these positions have had these beliefs, he's comfortable saying it now, and that's just where we're at now.
Yeah, they don't, and of course they're going hard now. They're like, this is our opportunity. Like, this might not work. Trump might not be there forever. Things might revert back, so we have to go hard now to try to push this stuff through. It's what they're doing.
So they're doing in all avenues of life. They're just like, well, if this is it, then this is it. And this is our chance. And that's what they're doing. Pick a topic, and that's what they're doing.
Right. And that's why, you always see they have it about the Nazis in this one. Like, here's how fascist takeover happened so quickly. And it's because they go so quickly. There's this shock and awe element to it. And if it works, it works. Sometimes it doesn't. And we don't talk about those as much, but it doesn't have to work. Sometimes it's depressing and it feels inevitable, but it doesn't have to work because I believe most Americans don't like this shit. They just have to know about it. And right now they don't know about it.
Exactly. That's why, to your point, sometimes it works. Often it doesn't. And the reason they have to do this, the reason it has to be so quick and they have to have this sort of shock and awe period and just like, well, it's like, we got to try, is because it's unpopular. It's always unpopular. It is like the whole ideology, the whole movement, the whole point is that it's anti-democratic. It is not a popular movement. It is a minority movement that takes power because it's anti-democratic. And then they implement all these anti-democratic policies and then they're there. But it's not popular. People don't like it. And to your point, they just don't see it. But as it happens more and more, we are seeing it more and more. His policies, his popularity does go down when people see what it actually is. You can have the mass deportations now, posters, great propaganda. Wow, we all love it. Not we all. But here we are, and this is what they actually look like. And so the hope is that phase 2 or 3 or whatever we're at right now is where it stops. Because once you get to 4 or 5, it's not great.
I think we're done here today. I feel bummed out.
No!
I feel great. I feel good. I feel like I spent time with friends and met a new person named Brody. Oh, he's back!
Oh, we're wrapping up the show?
Yeah,
show's
thank you
over.
so much for our expert. You have any final words? Anything like where we can find you? Where, you know?
Yeah, you can get me at Shirts Up, bro. It's my it's like me and like 6 buddies, and we just like have our shirts up the whole time. So it's just like it's like an ab session.
Cool.
You can listen to it,
like
but
showing off your abs, like
yeah, we show them
like
off and we
shirts
talk
up,
about
like-
each other's.
Or like
cool, sick.
abscess.
Yeah, it's called abscess. We abscess over each other's abs.
Yeah.
And it's just
And
like, you know, it's like a
abscesses.
totally normal like thing, and it's like tough, okay? It's like a serious thing that we do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
check that out.
That sounds
I
very
will.
serious.
I love it. That's awesome.
Everybody
Congratulations.
go follow that guy
Shirts
and that
up.
thing that he talked about. Shirts up.
Get your
And you know what?
abscess on.
Get your abscess on. Get your shirts up. Enjoy the last of summer. And also remember
Whoa.
that we love you very much. Hey.
Much.
Such.